Result, the United States also substantially reduced its military presence in West Asia and North Africa region. First topic for your resolution posits the United States as active analysis. We anticipate and analyze U.S. strategy from outside that perspective. Further, West Asia and North Africa describes where the military presence should be reduced. The region is unique because of the ties to Atlantic slave trade and Eurocentric identity. That's Shield 9. African identity, same racialization and fundamental idea making of the modern world. Initially, African slaves over time future refer to anything in almost figured in the historical imaginary Asia being seduced by Eastern alternatives such as by reference to the race native white man's constructed by race. So areas Western civilization within the historical narratives surrounded by the constitutional role of slavery, and on the resolution applies the moral obligation first institutional morality requires both making particularly decision grounded in democratic society while also looking to international norms or to determine common moral principles as we hold. 14. Principles can be on low inclination toward stability or so basic they are applies to support toward decision moral necessity to learn from moral law to introduce accuracy of decision making. Second is magnitude narrow understanding of security rely upon sacrificial logical maximum that the vast majority deem disposable and without value for non-colonial frameworks. So because 21. Decision makers should rectify the exclusion of women who will come on marginalized communities by making their lived experience of war central by looking at civilians other side of colonial projecting experience or dismantle repression internally commitment to dismantle them domestically battling black and brown lives for the promotion of peace, dismantling all forms of exploitation by neocolonialism, capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy. We all fight freedom for all. Thus, the third is that U.S. center frameworks destroys debates that educational space as successful as all has an in-ground impact because it makes Eurocentric exclusionary. And the United States military presence violates institutional morality based on racist logic of coloniality should be reduced in West Asia and North Africa. The history of U.S. military presence in North Africa is inseparable from post-Cold War as it's a primary global hegemon beginning the broader Middle East and North Africa initiative providing architecture of modern U.S. colonialism in the region. The war on terror established a presence for military intervention in the region to secure American interests for explicitly false precedents. The advantages of infantilism in 2011 establishment of Libya Gaddafi was accused of mobilizing American mercenaries to murder citizens. This is why the United States first mission was to overthrow the Libyan government. Gaddafi's assassination, this relation of puppetry to decimate the development of what was at the time the most prosperous area in North Africa. U.S. military presence in West Asia and North Africa is now grounded in masculine protectionist interests that serves white supremacist interests and infantilizes while exploiting that Libya approves. That's Google 21. Libya illustrates how coloniality and masculine protection will permeate intervention, contradiction, the objectives, the actual impacts, militaristic approaches, surprisingly devastating for black and brown civilians in military intervention without protecting Libyan and other African women aerial operations, left citizens and women in vulnerable positions in call between rebels and international community. Military intervention make people unsafe from permanent militarization of society, devastation, environment, infrastructure, high levels of civilian casualties and toys and poison and pain. Peace may kill and devastated Western led missions based tropes that infantilize subordinate societies, logic, masculine protection, reinforce patriarchal structure, and the United States past intervention to Libya reveals a crucial truth. The modern architectural racial governance cannot be disentangled from the framing of humanitarian values that drive interventions in mutual apolitical goods. American imperialism on one requires redefining African realities, requiring Western intervention to resolve crisis free imposing a false choice between domestic collapse or colonial brutality. That's way 14. Substitution government who got to be sent to get African for projecting power, confirmed not giving a vision for African, giving from supplier, cheap labor, raw materials. Libya, Africa's first intervention of recolonize the world order functions on mind and logic, trans upon life, right to entering the name of the political party, less militarization and the regionalization of worthy regimes and intervention, secret compliance, and agendas Libya over time UN mandated right military forces owned and relied on knowledge of action discourse that ratifies domination, produces definition of realities and acceptance of the need to intervene in the case to cast itself in anti-imperial while forcing domination of merchant discourses that colonialism, imperialism, mainly talk about rulership, democracy, rights, and governance, positive rights, immigrants, as if these are neutral, apolitical concepts, reinventing as alternative to the crisis problem principles of religion, imperial domination, in favor of the latter. This is why the United States continued presence in Libya serves as a policy conflict with the U.S. and geopolitical adversaries like Russia and China, continuing to supply munitions and mercenaries in the region, ramps of competition over access to resources that would make agitating the use of Libya as a battleground imperative. That's shoebox money. Antagonism between the United States and Russia and Libya over resources to prevent the government using Libya as background. The United States answerable horror Libyans. The position over there of Gaddafi had cited dubious rationale understood as a proxy war. Africa aims at a free resource basis in Libya, Russia, and military achieving terror outside of weapons, infiltration, weaponry, equipment, mercenaries, devastating for Libyan people, dynamic for worse enemies power. Furthermore, is that U.S. intervention is on colonial logic is nice values to West Asian people and African people and unleashing weapons to destroy cause or exposed to suffering. That's because 21. Colonial logic intervention making serious or global racialized discourses different in need of humanitarian intervention and rescue. Passive powerless versus labeling on Western way of there's an 19th century colonialism, democracy becomes the base of imperialism, frontier colonizing draws new technology such as colonial knowledge, ignoring black and brown, causing military intervention to promote protecting continuation of hegemony rather than creating an alternative world order. Nefarious acts of the logic of masculine protection in along with the code and the logic of pathologizing black and brown men producing the story of white saviors need to protect black and brown women from white supremacy is the masculine logic of protection each moment of intervention weaponry decision impact civilian military decision devastation in their infrastructure high level civilian culture to deploy peace movement and cut the card there intervention rest on resolution of the United States is necessary to further positive international development for countries American and foreign policy that's enterprising result of unchallenged. So congratulations, this indicts any of their models that choose prioritize the well-being and values of the country of the U.S. and U.S. actors. We have an obligation towards other countries even if it responds for ourselves. That's way 11. Americans describe the U.S. as shining hill in the city of ritual American sexual no different patriotic chest something do American values worthy of universal admiration. Reply that the U.S. is destined entitled to play a role in governments and self-commanding portrait Americans to see themselves in talent faded hypocrisy failing forward policy would be more effective if Americans could convince less of their own virtue. Cut that card there. Now, solvency around an RG ideology identifies as a prerequisite to any procedural issues they have involving engagements to, etc. We must use the impacts to act before deciding the best course of action, else operates in the best interest of the U.S., which is historically ignored black and brown lives. Thus, a role of ballot to reject Eurocentric appeal and to challenge mass and colonial violence. That's Lucas 21. Cost of military response around the patterns to objectives, reimagine assessment, cost of war and intervention in terms of black and brown lives. We need our MP reducing intervention, discourse, during the city, and protection, justification, military intervention, critical scholarship points, and neo-colonial foundation, social point, value, black and brown lives for policy, international relations, promotion, and peace, engaging in radical dismantling of all forms of exploitation, marble, achieving neocolonialism, capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, we all find freedom for all, and the U.S. hegemon is a form of unstable GPC that builds upon license deception towards other less powerful countries to gain upper ground and frames the U.S. as only legit sphere, thus military restraint reduces violence. That's law 22. GPC is deeply problematic. First, it is a source that combines the existential order of GPC, makes me resolve and disorder, profoundly dangerous, health, logical, prospect, limited revenue, over and full control, only reactive competition, totalizing approach teams to pose an existential threat. Cut that card as threat.
Can you send the March talk?
Yeah, sure. It's been sent. I'm good.
I don't think I've gotten it.
Just let me know when you do.
Okay. I'm good for cross.
Yeah, I'm good for cross.
Okay. The affirmative, what does it defend?
The United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the West Asia, North Africa region.
Cool, that's great. The framework, okay. What do you do outside of the debate space? Like, what does reading of the Aff do?
Reading of the affirmative.
Yeah.
So I guess reading it in the debate space is a way to, I guess, challenge norms that are present in debate, i.e. debate in the United States relies upon a very, like, united, like, states-based form of because we're in the United States, we get education, fairness, values from the United States. That's how we define truth and fairness.
So fairness doesn't matter to somebody who's from, like,
no, but we're saying that your view of, like, I guess, fairness just might be very, like, prejudiced. It doesn't define what's actually fair. We're saying that it might be more fair for us to read this affirmative to specifically challenge what's going on, like, outside the debate space and to uphold, like, the values of, like, of other countries that are being, like, I guess, dominated by the U.S. and, like, the black and brown lives that have been, like, I guess, disregarded.
So we should care about other lives. Why did you not send the Aff then?
Because it's a new Aff, I made it like an hour, or like literally an hour ago.
You didn't send it because it was a new Aff. Okay, why?
Why? Because I don't need to send it to you. I have no obligation to send it to you.
Why?
Because you have not, I guess, debated the Aff yet. And also, I guess, like, making it a new Aff means you have to, like, critically think about how, I guess, like, you can offer a better strategy to uphold the values of lives for black and brown communities.
Should I vote for you, or should the judges vote for you, and why?
Personally, I think I'm a great person. You should vote for me because of that. But also,
Wait,
if I prove the affirmative is like a good idea, I think you should do that.
Okay, so the debate is about proving the affirmative a good idea. That's great. The roll of the ballot, does this garner you pre-fiat offense?
What does that mean?
Is the reading of the affirmative sufficient to vote Aff, regardless of whether it's actually a good idea?
The ideology of the affirmative is a reason to vote Aff, yes. The ideology we defend, which is the role of the ballot, if that answers your question. But
The ideology.
Well,
So
I
you
don't-
should determine the ballot based on the ideology of the affirmative.
because that's what the affirmative is,
You said the affirmative defends the resolution, but that's fine.
but the resolution is upheld through like the framework.
That's fine. People in West Asia, North Africa, does them dying hurt? Should they die?
We'd like to make the claim that the U.S. presence, like being in that area, is causing them to die right now. That's bad, which is why they should withdraw presence. So it stops instability and it like helps more people not die. If that's your point.
So we should stop people from dying. That's cool.
Well, no, not necessarily. We should. That's not like. I guess if you're trying to read like a useful framing, we'd say that that operates with like a white masculine understanding, and that you are ignoring the fact that there are already people going extinct. There are communities and like people out there dying, and you only care when I guess the white savior starts to die, which is the U.S. And in this case, you were prioritizing the United States over other countries, i.e., those in the West Asia and North Africa region. And the framework and the role of the ballot is to reject this Eurocentric appeal you have. That's time. Sorry.
Okay, I'll send the doc. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 then case. Case starts on like the framework, like a theory hedge, and then the Affs proper.
How many hours?
4.
This case starts on framework, then a theory hedge,
Yeah.
and then what?
And then like the Affs proper.
Alright, cool.
I sent it.
Oh, I don't have it yet. Give me a sec. Oh, okay. I just got it. Give me a second to open.
Okay, just let me know when you're good. Is everyone good?
No, sorry.
Okay. Jack, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. Interpretation debaters must disclose the plan text of the affirmative even if new 30 minutes before the round. Violation, screenshot, and dog negate. One is clash and access. Not disclosing the affirmative incentivizes surprise taxes and poorly refined positions that rely on artificial vague negative engagement to win debates, ensuring that both sides can read each other's cards before the tournament. Engage creates the most rigorous prep and engagement. Second, shiftiness, not unknowing the affirmative coming into the round incentivizes one year shiftiness about what the affirmative is and what their advocacy entails, especially because the one he literally did this during cross drop debaters for future abuse and rectify excuse me RBS. It's a logical issue when being fair for times used non-unique beats that cause debating theory using controlled by red counter or revalue the theory to be after the one and C key to rest process. So we have one speech each. Use competing interests and invites arbitrary intervention across the race. The one question more argumentation. And C theory comes first. A started first. The chain of abuse and forcing down the strategy beats that we have more speeches to norm over and C's that it was introduced prior, which means that it comes luckily prior and force that the debate theory will always benefit the advocates. The one where the restart moves all the one and C outwards. It justifies one and C abuse and the counterplay. The United States should enter a prior body consultation with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization over whether the United States should substantially reduce its military presence in the Republic in the West Asia North Africa region. Change the counterplay to that. The United States should adopt the results of the consultation is conditional. No, don't evaluate the Affs general principle, general ideological principle. That's illogical when you write a plan text, which is the only stasis point for engagement. Anything else is arbitrary and impossible for the negative to predict. It doesn't stir into discussions that we're talking about. What the resolution is just specific implementation. The NATO agrees that they favor restraint on intervention. That's Balder 19. NATO expects relations to give on the military effort to secure relations as minimizing war. Alex are making a de-escalate for the conflict result attention that NATO comments that the allies will stay away from you know just so much matter of the NATO issue. The partners acknowledge the challenges want to get off the military track and union all action is Afghanistan 2.0, which adds NATO confidence consultation solves as settlement 21. NATO makes a function with the decision withdrawal linger instead of withdrawal on this. The officials get a function with the consult the UK Security of Defense requests the decision withdraw with the setting condition of the Taliban. There's not a to the country's satisfaction because it's generally consult over making decisions and NATO revitalize NATO assault for extinction, proliferation, and European wars as Brand 17. The alliance is by the countries their cooperation purpose and creative person relationships to create the cooperation conditions changes to the alliance strong deterrent effect reason the possibility that attack will be defined as defensive alliances is part of a miracle efforts nationwide how to turn time while foundations and alliances at the same time and its ability security guarantees allow for the use allies to underbuild their military to further the arms and alliances compete on growth critical and fencing and secure attack and countries to forego the leverage to the allies after the intentions are more nuclear powers and dangerous and risk of nuclear conflicts higher and substantial is a certain and immediate. This words in phrase 64 the substantial not concealed merely can but a certain absolute unreal at the present time and resolve must be a removal of doubt. This American Heritage Dictionary AC remove or dispel the doubts and resolve must be immediate. That's option 11. Resolve before the resolution means immediate. The one will be immediately enacted. Cut the card or not reading the rest. The NC proper. That the standard is maximizing acceptable being acting prefer acting sexual terrorism pleasure and pain or value is value other customers the roles small machine pleasure means warning the warning pleasure with the needs of word or result of culture movements if it is that situation of warning running versus all power was opposite as represent regions of the list of serious exam to see in the brain of the possible to achieve stability don't mean size of ability use away and non-consensual pleasure pain or pain and pleasure or premature death or fundamentally immoral. This there's in word 16 extinctions involve significant physical harms or premature death people death reaching the value of involving the reasons such as further respect for life protect the person ending the life of consensual disrespectfully extinction can be removed for all using people and extinction always power 15 in willful stages can be standards already say what the reason that there are chance of which is all possible to reason that it's irrelevant to non consequences you see your mission on the consequences of you that there's more important to and right and consequences that are latter and matter we should do that account the moral certainty was one of my voice even over still be more based over the center moral certainty raising us to receive support and not reading the next two cards the recent bolstering of military presence on every front is deterring threats and so many allies that's England and Schwartz 1113 extra troops add to the military presence combat these residents with original allies use has about 157,000 troops in the Middle East and the Israel Hamas wars with the use of the military assets more and withdrawal for the power vacuum encourages nuclear proliferation Karski and Rogan 19 and Russia will bid for control of the Western to fight its way Iran will defeat China for taking the leadership control of the Middle Eastern world get the military curse of the United States and European or Pacific Iran and Saudi Arabia and the nuclear weapons studies it avoiding the weapons in case of pressure of war general organizations opposite U.S. president study and Israel would in terms of Russia and China cut the card at Russia and China and that creates catalyst for widespread terror. This appears 20 Africa and the Middle East are home to the greatest groups in the center of performance of the general competition of all the great powers of interaction theory division cycles of heroic discussing on conflict and leading to the Saudi Arabia movement Russia trying to consider how rapidly disturb seeking of the policies that are norms cut the card at norms and extinction that's our Calvert and Alfred 8-1 church causing the existential attack directly to person humanity pathogen unstability super intelligence celebrating as mentioned world to destroy the world that forward large of virus extensions the terrorists will be able to raise the existential level back up the regular but also enabling inflation to make earth and the world in Earth replicate exponentially around the earth and capable of cut the card at EcoV and the framework on case for the negative assumption the ballot doesn't change our mindset the Affs only acknowledge departure from the status quo they have not made a mechanism for solvency the role of ballot is to vote for the better debate or anything else is arbitrary self-serving and has no ceaseless point which makes engagement impossible and the unpredictable debate cannot change its activity or bond out by things in school media etc which proves that their argument is wrong the limelight proper death is immoral but that was explained above the legal evidence card says nothing but the reason as to why we care about things like institutions is because of death and sort of that being necessarily bad the evidence and one that the affirmative or the status and narrow understanding when your scenario proves that it's necessarily true the education argument the debate cannot spill up but it is not Eurocentric that was the Zimmer evidence that was or they have not want to resist why it's Eurocentric in the first place obviously things of fairness etc are cared about in West Asia which proves that they have not want to resist why this is bad indefinitely invited by speech times etc which proves that they care about fairness so well weight evidence obviously doesn't matter because extinction caused death to every single person on the planet the Latin evidence of past frustration of solve their arguments of pulling out of Afghanistan etc should have been sufficient to answer their arguments reversibility and magnitude also outweigh their arguments that precludes the possibility of solving any the magnitude that's in the future also outweighs because we'd literally be unable to come back from in the first place and a focus on representations that shows social change or that's a talk off in 95 discusses that the social conditions that reduce like the international influence can only recognize the discursive emphasis what they allowed us on the emergence of the heights and envisioning and working to concrete goals cut the card at goals and the hedge or actually the hedge proper reject one of your theory one is double blind other you have not against the other only response to send your arguments to one or the judge should intervene so whether the two answers in the two or enough intervention always use to take the judge of the debater the round of the debater's hand seconds to one species means all we be had 30 if it abuses wrong you can uplay with one of your officer read one AC theory so 4 7 6 times you mean that always be theories mainly on take a log 5 so you can drop arguments so we hear from that which means that only drop arguments with them are game over reasonability on one of yourselves and against alignment every tutor standard with new answers and we never get responded to reasonability checks the or really abusive one AC giving the 200 chance and the 1 AC proper Vietnam syndrome the estimate or actually go to the Vine evidence the creates base bases and encourages military proliferation rates every F internal link that's Vine 15 Britain's 5 bases guarantees cooperation with the underground representations the principal human world encouraging opponents to see the military air forces in the way bases behind military tensions they're discarding into policy religions danger clashing overspeaking control and coffee call for military response and the affirmative withdrawal just shifts the US will another smaller lily pad of authoritarian countries the Vine 19 evidence says that or anti-business has resulting in a preference for business underground regimes that from populated urban business cities has been creating the small secret bases from population centers acquire the collection of legal bases that little near represents the form and the Octas that are Central Eastern European dozens of lily pads go to the topic ed card topic ed is good it helps us become alchemists version 99 Policy-based research and data security, in-depth analysis on issue of value accessible to be empowers scientists to act, and the research provides a greater understanding of competitive nature, fuels awareness that the debate is not in a single topic, now has an increase in access switches, side supports and nuances, go to the recurrent existential challenges that are truly universal as they were 22, bringing the attitude and process and innovation potential the survival of human beings. I guess cut it at human beings.
You said a mark.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to start cross in the meantime?
Can I get the marks first?
I mean,
Actually, nah, that's fine. I can start cross. That's fine.
okay. I'll just like mark it while cross happens.
Okay, cool. On my first question, I guess. Any independent reasons to drop the team?
Yeah, the theory shell has independent reasons to drop the team.
What was exempted on the theory shell?
Nothing.
Okay, cool. On the counter plan, actually, no. Let's go on the case page. What's the Vietnam syndrome?
Sure. It would be that fear of drawdown, etc., would be necessarily bad and causes infinite violence.
How?
We didn't read that piece of evidence.
Wait, then which ones did you read on the case
The
page?
next two?
The next two.
Actually, the next three.
Okay, cool. What is Vine 19 saying?
Sure. So withdrawing presence from the meta area just means that the U.S. would shift to other areas, which means that would cause every single one
why does-
regardless.
I guess why is that a reason to disregard the lives of black and brown communities that are currently dying because of United States presence?
Because
Why
you'll
is
just
that a reason
redeploy it to
ignore
other places, but that causes even more oppression. Because there's
them? Cool. Where would they redeploy?
our evidence says authoritarian countries, which increases repression, makes other countries mad, creates space for
Yeah, where would they
military
deploy?
force.
Where would they
Authoritarian
redeploy?
countries,
Where would they redeploy?
Guam and Diego Garcia, Africa, Central Eastern Europe. There's dozens of lily pads. Our
So
evidence
it's
indicates-
saying other Eurocentric countries would redeploy?
Our argument is that we would redeploy to other areas anyways, which means that the affirmative does not solve.
The
Yeah, it
United
would be
States
other
would redeploy
Eurocentric.
to other countries, right?
Sure.
Okay. I guess can you explain the next card to me, the Vine 15?
Okay, sure. The Vine evidence indicates that these sorts of lily pads, etc., would also cause things like more base races and military proliferation, etc., and forces within these small bases that the U.S. would redeploy these forces to, which means that would cause things like more military force that would be used, Americans would be more involved, it would be more Eurocentric, and it would just be necessarily bad for them.
Why would they? I guess why would they redeploy? I'm still really
Because you're
confused with that.
removing presence, right? And then the U.S. wants to put that presence elsewhere. They're not just gonna keep troops for no reason.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
You've not want a reason as to why suddenly, when we always redeploy the troops, suddenly the affirmative means that we'll just never redeploy troops anymore.
Okay.
Also, I just sent the marked doc. Everything in red was not red. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Did you read the topic ed stuff? Is good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. That's cross. Let me open the marks and then I'll start. Okay, I just got it. Okay, I'm starting prep. Alright, let me start. Why does extinction matter?
A couple of reasons. First is that if pleasure and pain are intrinsically valuable, then that means that extinction would foreclose the possibility of any future pleasure for literally anybody on the planet, including black and brown folks. Second,
What if they're like, actually never mind, that's fine.
like our argument also would be like a nuclear war probably harms a lot of people, even if you don't think it's just a question of like being dead, but like getting your face melted off in a nuclear war is probably not good.
Sure. Okay, that was 255 views. I'll send this.
What's the order?
Order, let me see. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, the order is gonna be case, the hedge, new apps, NATO, the useful stuff will be on the case page.
Oh wait, on the consult counterpoint, I didn't read the last two definitions,
Hold on.
and then like anything. I didn't read anything after the Austin card. I forgot to mark it on the doc.
Wait, sorry. The Austin card is.
I didn't read anything
Oh,
after that.
okay. I see. Sorry. Did you read the? Hold on, I can take part for this. Did you read the like console counterpoints are good stuff?
No,
And one condo is good.
no.
Okay. I have 1 minute left. I'll send it now. There's a bunch of like stuff at the bottom. High key, just like ignore it. That was just like in the doc.
Wait, so what's the order again?
Case, case, the theory shell, data, decide. Utils on case.
Wait, so you said case, then the shell?
Yeah, case, I'll answer the hedge, and then it's gonna be, I'm gonna answer like the maximizing expected well-being stuff on the case page.
And then after that, it would be nuance theory and narrative.
Yeah.
What's the order case?
Order on case, it'll be just a extension, answering the hedge, the framing stuff, and then the line by line.
You send a document?
I'm sending it right now, actually. Ignore the useless stuff on the bottom when I send it. Okay, it's been sent. Yeah, let me know when everyone's good.
Okay, give me a second to open it.
For sure.
Is there any new offs?
Yes. Oh, yes, I forgot to say that. There's 1, 2, I think there's only 2 new offs.
Where are those?
That's gonna be on the counterplan page.
Wait, so
What?
Oh, sorry. No, you can just, wait, you can just like flow 2 new offs, I guess.
After what?
Oh, sorry, I'm not thinking right now. It'll be like, after, both of them are gonna be after the seashell.
after?
Before the DA or after the DA?
That's before the DA.
Wait, what? Okay, just signpost.
They're on the counterpoint page, right? The shells?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Where's the counterplan page?
that's after the theory shell. That's after new apps.
I'm ready then.
I'm good.
Okay, can I run this by you? It is case with hedge on the case page, then the theory shell, then the CP, then the 2 offs, then the NATO DA.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else?
No.
Alright, cool.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
present based on protectionist logic where we think we want a government or inferior that leads to unethical violence and instability, decreasing presence, create counterbalancing which ends U.S. violence which preserves lives of dying black and brown people. That's want to see Goku and want to see Latin. Yes, you should keep us one area theory, keeping checking infinite, want to see abuse, and one area short when both theory and substance, and one area theory shop to greater communication to the highest layer, two and should just preempt. You should reject one area theory. There's no double binary judge interventions, inevitable structure. But issue cannot be resolved in 2 points. It's your fault for being abusive, and yes, there is infinite abuse. 7 minutes fucks up my 2 of abuse, fucks up my 2 1 AR, makes it impossible to win on 4 points. Just don't be abusive on 5 points. Just don't have arguments on the right framing page. One is that you should reject utilitarianism because utilitarianism is always historically ignored the pain of black and brown communities. Your form of utilitarianism is already ignoring the ongoing extinction, ignoring the ongoing extinction, ongoing death of the communities that are dying right now. You should really err heavily towards the value of life. As long as I prove there's the risk of values of life being lost right now, then you shouldn't feel comfortable voting for YouTube because values of life comes luckily prior. The only reason we care about extinction is when we give life value. However, in this case, they're only giving values to they're only giving values to the lives of white savior logic in the United States, which and ignoring the fact that other communities are already dying and suffering right now. And there's no presumption argument. The Affs isn't about mindsets. Affirmative is a good idea. The solvency is to remove military presence. The Affs is do something new fiat. We know says that we should prioritize wise and military international moral principles. And yes, we're winning that book as a narrow understanding. The argument is that you prioritize you prioritize some lives over others. Thought and restraint is not solved. The United States is still currently in those areas, and it's not about representations. We say the Affs is a good idea because of the plan tax. Now in the one to see profit, there's not on the vine cards. When we take away the United States power, we're rejecting Eurocentrism. Weakening power should definitely outweigh here. That was conceded out of the one seen on the vine 15 card. There's no warrant for this whatsoever. Framing should resolve this debate. It's not a reason. It's not a reason. One is that it's not a reason to be ignoring the ongoing suffering, and 2 is that you haven't a strong enough reason as to why we should do that on theory. Reasonability on 1 and C theory with a bridle and rejecting U.S. hegemon minor violations are good if it allows us to bring black and brown groups that have disregarded by dominant modes of discourse. Now counterinterpretation. Counterinterpretation. If it's new after I need to disclose, 1 is strategic thinking, enforces negative thinking, other critical thinking, equipped for information processing rather than regurgitating coach design strategies. 2 is argument innovation. You ask if strategic advantages that and can't prep beforehand. 3 A is that equalizes small schools and debate by coaching from acid caves. 2 is incentivizing new apps. And 3 C there's no bright line for what's considered new. And 3 is there's no potential abuse. My 1 is he's literally set call. I told you before the round set call. It's tied to the topic and resolution. Counterinterpretation resolves as a definite court of action. This means you should only evaluate topicality tied to the resolution and not general theory. And I guess on the clash stuff, you didn't lose any clash from this whatsoever. And also innovation should definitely outweigh this. And on the shiftiness of this is literally whole res. Everything was clarified in that NATO. Counterpoints must be functionally, textually competitive. 1 enforces net benefits to remain to the plan and model destroys topic education. 2 is pennies impossible for an operator. They can do the plan but spend pennies and pick out troops, which makes it for me impossible. And condoms a voting issue. 1 is time to encourage running on position for skew time points. 1 are that always instantly quantifiable use. 2 is class elsewhere. 1 error rest 4th level testing research motion portable badge for pollen work and survival. 2 is disposal like kick the perm move makes strategic. 1 error source is the app literally indicts the entire NATO structure. She should reject the counterplan on basis. NATO is governed by the United States and other very Western Eurocentric countries that have historic violence against one, and they will literally say no. They have historically been against black and brown communities. The Libya scenario in the 1AC was literally because NATO, where the United States called on NATO to go assassinate their leader so they could assert dominance and infantilize Libya. That's literally offense against the counterplan. You should reject it on face on the disapp. 1 is that the Affs turns is very weak right now. There's so much freaking instability proven by the Libyan infantilization contention. The United States asserting its presence is the reason as to why there's instability, because they are making up rumors and lies, and they're just trying to start trouble to instigate problems so they can come in and appear like the white savior that was conceded out of the 1C, which is why you should feel very skeptical about this whole deterrence argument and presence emboldened and terror argument. And presence emboldened terror is the only arm to terrorists over the horizon tries solves. That's Cox 712. U.S. troop training forces with a willing to support the words not limited. Ties between militia and Iraq, Syria. ISIS, caliphate limited years ago. Regional powers are interested in preventing return to take responsibility. U.S. capability over launch horizon against terrorists on armed prior ground appointments. ISR do not require troops. Yes, still rely on air narrow base in Turkey, Jordan, UAE, and there's no terror. That's Miller 18. As for nuclear terror groups have limited desire, even less progress problems require risky trusting foreign criminals, transporting higher gun material, establishing sophisticated shop, and moving commerce of untested weapon for the detonation while hiding a vast surveillance.
Wait, I think the last card was all red, after the timer ended.
Oh, okay. I think I got to the first part. That's fine though. You can cut the last card probably at
Please send more. Can you please send more?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, actually. Do you want me to mark the analytics? Okay.
Okay, I'll just wait for that.
There was also like stuff that was not right on the top.
And you only read one new off.
What tribute?
I'm not using this entire thing.
Wait, no, there was two.
Shame on you.
Where was the second one?
That was the must be sexually.
That's not a voting issue. But okay, that's fine. Is it on? Or actually, it's fine.
I'm sending it right now.
Your career too.
It's around super positive.
Just go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Come back shorter.
Okay, I'll just start from.
The marked off was like marked analytics was me some.
Oh my god. Okay.
What's the order?
Order is gonna be, so it'll be this like top level thing, then condo. The counterplans must be textually and functionally compatible thing that was not flagged as a voting issue, but I guess it is util-NC. I mean, okay, and then it'll be kicking out of the counterplan, util-NC, the disad, and then case.
Can you run that back?
Okay, it'll be like a top level framing issue. And-
Where should we follow the top level?
Just float on like the shell that I read.
The show. Okay.
Yeah, and then condo, counterplans must, or condo, and then counterplan. And then the util-NC, the disad, and then case.
I'm good.
Okay, everybody's good? Framing issues that Sophie has conceded. You should evaluate the theory debate after the 1NC because it's key to reciprocity. So we have one speech each on theory. They have conceded this coming out of the 1NC, which means you should reject neutral responses because they didn't put it in the 1 area. They had a chance to respond to it in the 1 area. Any neutral responses will be completely new, and any extrapolation will be completely new. Coming out of the 1NC, where there was a conceded theory shell, which means that you should automatically negate because there was conceded theory that was dropped in the debate, or that they conceded from the 1NC. If you don't believe me, it was definitely in the doc. It was in the sort of paradigm issues block that was definitely conceded coming into the 1 area. Independently, the condo stuff proper. Counter interpretation will defend the violation if we only read one conditional advocacy standards is one. Logic proving a counterplan is bad doesn't prove the plan. It's good. A logical policymaker can always choose not to act. Logic always is the base of all rational argumentation. Second is critical thinking. Cognitive encourages critically thinking about the affirmative strategy that covers both the status quo and the counterplan, which is good for education, which always is the only portable skill we learn in the real world to take out of the real world. Third is real world education. Policymakers don't defend policies they've already proven wrong. I shouldn't have to either. Always because it's the only reason as to why debate is portable. Fourth topic education. Condo means we get depth and breadth of education because we have to collapse and talk about multiple solvency mechanisms for the affirmative and ultimately go for once we get depth to always usually have 2 months to be about the topic. 5 is reciprocity. Multiple parts of the African conditional. You go for spikes, operaries, 1 area theory, etc., which proves that only our argument makes it reciprocal and display doesn't solve its regressive because people will infinitely change the conditions to stupid things like if you ask and cross. Perms are a bad metric. If the affirmatives are just loose to counterplans that are the exact same as the affirmative because you can't say perm to the counterplan and concede that we get reasonability in 1 area theory because one is just way too short. Also times Q is wrong. You should be able to beat better back anyways, and it's also inevitable because you have to answer things like T anyways. And yes, we get testing. We still have to collapse in the 2 or the functionally and textually competitive argument makes no sense. It was not flagged as a voting issue in the 1 area, but even if you do, these arguments should make no sense because you can just because our interpretation is best for topic education competing only all function is better for topic ed. Otherwise means that debates would just be definitions debates about whether the words in the plan or the counterplan meant the same thing. Also incoherent because policymakers do not depend on decide policies whether based on the words in the resolution, but rather distinctions and implementation, which always because debate is only portable to the real world because of real policy education. The counterplan not going for it was conditional. The util-NC proper. Protobal was conceded 1NC wing that reversibility outweighs means that any risk of extinction should terminally outweigh their arguments because they've conceded that extinction is irreversible insofar as it causes harm to every single person on the planet because it means that every single person will be unable to experience any value to life ever. That means that every single time that which you are grandstands about things like value to life for people dying in the Middle East or dying in the West Asia, North Africa region, etc. These are all things that would continue to happen and sort of be even worse under the world of the counter or under the world of the disad because it means that they would all die super painful death and not have any possibility of any liberation or experiencing any freedom in the future, which means that our argument is that death is necessarily bad, which is conceded. Weighing argument, any risk that any life has value to life means that you should automatically vote negative. It's not ignoring suffering, it's sort of extinction that happens to every single person, which means it is not a form of wise superiority. They've conceded the Zimmer evidence that says that extinction would foreclose the possibility for any future improvement. Also conceded that premature death and sort of things like that are fundamentally immoral because they preclude any possibility for futures for a bunch of people, which means that would be fundamentally immoral. Third is that third said they say extinction is only valuable because of the value to life, but this argument is wrong. Obviously, there's always a risk of value to life, which means that we should prevent extinction regardless because there's always a risk of value to life. They have not read an ontological warrant as to why we have no value to life anyways, which means you should hold the line on the 2 way or the terror disad proper. Extend the disad presence that causes perception of supporting allies to deter threats, but withdrawal emboldens countries that want to fill in through a power vacuum that encourages proliferation by creating a safe haven for revisionist powers and non-state actors to entrench preference, which they've independently conceded a scenario in which proliferation happens. They've conceded from the NATO counterplan that proliferation would cause extinction, which means that this is a reason to why their arguments are necessarily wrong because it causes extinction insofar as proliferation would embolden leaders and sort of mean sort of heighten the risk of war insofar as it means that there would be more countries that are sort of emboldened to start war in the first place, which is the conceded extinction scenario coming out of the 1 year. They've conceded a scenario, but independently it also influences, it causes sort of things like it causes sort of a safe haven for revisionist powers and non-state actors to entrench presence and sort of influence local governments to gain power and influence. That means that terror increases because it erodes norms which were existential, which is evidence that they have conceded from the 118. Nuclear terror causes extinction. It would cause a break in non-use, unleash pandemics, and force states to cross the nuclear threshold, which ignites global sort of conflicts. That's apparent evidence that turns and outweighs their arguments versus it causes more instability. That was explained above. Obviously, it would cause death to everybody's second is that, cause death to everybody's second is that conceded that it outweighs on magnitude and reversibility, which is displayed on the util-NC proper. The line by line They say there's instability. Now that does not mean anything about deterrence. It does not have anything to do with deterrence. They have not won an escalation scenario for this independently, which means you hold the line on the two, or even if terrorists happen and now even if terrorists happen now, it's a question of whether they get emboldened to use those nukes, etc., or all the things that they gained in the first place, which means that our evidence outweighs, and they have not won they've not answered the link. The second argument, the second part is just horrible. They did not answer the link. They've conceded that they do not assume that Saudi Arabia proliferates, and all of these proliferation happens that gives the terrorists the nukes. It is not a question of terrorists being a thing in the first place, or rather whether they get nukes in the first place and then start using them, which is a conceded impact. The over-horizon strikes obviously don't solve it. It's a question of the terrorists getting nukes and then nuking us, because they are confident. They've conceded evidence that terrorists are confident, which is terrorist evidence, the impact evidence that proves that terrorists are confident enough to sort of use the nukes, and over-the-horizon strikes do not solve. Maybe it works for ISIS, but it doesn't assume a scenario in which there would be huge proliferation across the entirety of the world, and doesn't assume the emboldenment of terrorists across post-plane. Our impacts also a risk of our impacts being true should also terminally outweigh their impacts, because they've conceded reversibility outweighs every single one of their impacts. The case page. Framing issues that they've conceded are the framing issues that they've conceded a huge case turn that should make this debate very, very simple. Even if you think that even if you think we're not winning the dissent, it's still a question of sort of the case page. But they've conceded a case turn, which is that the affirmative would mean that we just redeploy forces to other places, i.e., other sort of we redeploy forces to other sort of lily pads in other countries, things like Guam, Diego Garcia, like Africa, Central, Eastern Europe, etc., which turns every single one of their impacts, because it causes all these impacts. But it's even worse because they've conceded that it would be in authoritarian countries that mean that it would sort of build small bases, which means that it would guarantee collaboration with bad sort of autocratic regimes that would sort of make oppression even worse and cause every single one of their impacts but even worse, which turns the entirety of the affirmative in this conceded impact scenario. Their answers were absolutely incoherent. Their answers were absolutely incoherent. Their only answers were that their only answers were that it doesn't make any sense, but they've conceded our evidence that says that it definitely does make sense, because they would redeploy forces. They've also said that, they've also said that empirics prove that the presence is declining. Our argument is that presence is not declining. They have conceded one is the uniqueness evidence that says that presence is increasing in the status quo, which proves that this is necessarily wrong. And sort of presence is not just a decrease after, or the presence is not a decrease as a whole after you remove military presence from from a sort of region, but it just gets redeployed elsewhere, which proves that their impacts are necessarily wrong. But there's a conceded eval theory after the one is the argument, and the dissent should be sufficient.
Okay, cool. Running prep now. I guess it'll be eval the theory after the 1 and C, and then condo. Is everyone good?
I'm good.
Wait, oh, you're going okay, so eval 3 after 1 and C, then condo? Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. On my first word. Conceding eval theory after 1 and C does not mean we automatically lose this debate. The affirmative's full preempts that you've completely conceded. The affirmative quite literally preempts that we should be erring on any side of fairness in your context, because you specifically defend you defend a Eurocentric view, and instead we should be prioritizing the affirmative no matter what, because when we prioritize the affirmative, it means that we can take minor fairness violations, and we should be able to, when we take minor fairness violations, that allows us to have good actual substance debates, that allows us to have good substance debates about the topic and about black and brown lives that are currently dying. Conceded that out of the 1C means that they don't automatically win the theory debate. That was completely, I guess you could evaluate this as it's a wash, because they've conceded all the preempts in the 1AC. They should be sufficient to take out theory, because they prove that anything else they demand is unnecessary. And yeah, on condo, I guess. Top layer framing issue, they've conceded that 1AR theory is the highest layer of the round. 1AR theory is the highest layer of the round, and instructive debate and competing interest because the 1AR is too short. Yes, you should give us 2AR weighing. I can't predict 2NR arguments, and the 1AR is too short to preempt it all. At worst, we're just answering 2NR weighing. Condo is a voter, multiple worlds. around engagement. Now, line by line. First on logic is that one, it conflates logic. Just because it's conduct is logical doesn't mean it's fair or educational. Logic has no impact with research. And two is that clash outweighs the possible to determine if logical. One AR can't clash with the counterplan. And three is conduct is illogical, allows a negative shift out of their advocacy at any time. Now on critical thinking, one is depth of breath crossing. Third and fourth level testing is better than blue B concessions. Two is trying multiple counterplans, third debate into a question of coverage rather than real deliberation. Real deliberation is about the norm they define it. And three is that T fill in T's turns, and this has also forced you to process info but still gives us straight trends on real world policy. One is that clash outweighs policy making requires third, fourth line testing, which doesn't happen when we kick offs. And two is uncondo is better. Defending a good counterplan lets us robustly compare worlds. And three is that we aren't policymakers. Impact turn tricks and spreading all prove that there's an extinction. And four is that it's wrong. Policymakers don't just kick their proposals. And now on breadth over depth stuff. One is that depth outweighs improved predictability in the real life, even if you're more likely to know enough to actually act on knowledge. And two is that multiple rounds solve. You can read different arguments in each round. And three is that condo can't solve throwaway counterplans. Forego education. That's literally all the responses they made on condo. And insofar as I'm reading risk of offensive, they defended a bad norm for research. You should feel very comfortable voting affirmative on the condo debate. Look, I'm picking everything else. The only thing you can vote on, I guess, is like eval debate after the 1C, but that's completely a wash because they've conceded the preamps in the Affs. They've conceded that research outweighs, and research should be the prior question in this round. Therefore, negate because they haven't, I guess, they've yapped about fairness.